Welcome to Chromatic Roses, where a couple of Midwest women cultivate a community at the D&D table. I'm Caitie.
And I'm Soren, and this week in the Rose Garden, we're talking about alignment. What is it?
Yeah.
How do you use it? Do we use it? Is it worth it? Let me work it. We're talking. Okay. Yeah, we're talking about alignment today, and it's a topic that I think lots of people have lots of opinions on, and some people have literally no opinion at all. So
that's how the world works. So yeah, some people have a lot. Some people
either
have none.
You care or you don't.
Right. Two things I'd like to just call out so that we can say we've called them out is number one, we're not on the couch.
Maybe we can put a little couch emoji like somewhere in the screen just for fun.
Sure, yeah. We're trying a new thing where we record remotely to give us a little more flexibility in our recording abilities. So that's number one. Number two, I'm so sick. And it developed overnight and has seemingly gotten worse the longer I've been awake. So that is cool and fun. So if you hear me sniffling, or if I suddenly go off screen, it's to blow my nose.
Do a little sniffle.
That is that on that, and I'm not going to say any more about it. You can't make me. So anyway, alignment.
Right. Back to business.
Yeah, enough of that. I have a article that I have found on rpgbot.net.
That's not fishy at all.
Why is it fishy?
Just because it's rpgbot.com.
Sounds like a robot is their mascot. I'm looking at their logo and it's a mascot of a robot. So an RPG bot.
Should I do one of these?
Sure.
We can see it later.
Okay.
Tell us about
it. So, well, one moment.
A moment of silence. I like that you turned away from the camera.
Nobody look at me. The things I do for content. Okay. So this is alignment. It's a practical guide for D&D 5e. And this person, T.E. Kamstra, has given us a pretty thorough rundown of alignment, all that good stuff. Of course, we'll get TJ this link so he can put it in our episode description and all that good stuff. So you can go and read it. But as a brief history, the original edition of Dungeons & Dragons featured alignment in 3 flavors: lawful, neutral, and chaotic. In 1977, the Dungeons & Dragons basic set introduced the second axis, good, neutral, and evil. The alignment system remained largely unchanged for a long time. 4th edition made the first significant change, rearranging the 2-axis system into a 1-axis system. Lawful good, good, neutral evil, evil, chaotic evil. This was a confusing departure, doing away with both lawful evil and chaotic good alignments. 4th edition also removed the mechanical impacts of alignment, so this may have been done to simplify the alignment system. However, it unintentionally introduced the implication that lawfulness was somehow inherently good and chaoticness was somehow inherently evil. With the release of 5th edition, Wizards of the Coast returned alignment to the 2-axis system. However, like 4th edition, 5th edition has largely done away with the mechanical implications of alignment, though there are some exceptions, which we'll discuss. So alignment is 2-axis system used to describe creatures and their general moral attitude. So while this doesn't portray a minutia of philosophy, it can just be a quick shorthand to determine how a creature might behave. For example, a lawful good creature will generally buy just, kind, and orderly. That sentence doesn't track. Anyway, well, no, it is not written great. That particular sentence. So basically, lawful good, good, chaotic good, lawful neutral, neutral, chaotic neutral. lawful, evil, evil, chaotic evil. And all of those things can mean different things for
Right.
your particular character.
Right.
Law and chaos, creatures that are lawful tend to be orderly and organized. They often follow rules and structure, and therefore value systems which support those ideals, like laws, traditions, systems of honor, etc. At its best, being lawful means honesty, trustworthiness, reliability, and stability. At its worst, being lawful means being rigid, stagnant, judgmental, and tyrannical. Creatures that are chaotic, yeah, like T-Rex. That's what tyrannical means. Creatures which are chaotic value freedom and flexibility. They value freedom of choice, individualism, and adaptability. At its best, being chaotic means a readiness to accept change, explore new ideas, and to explore new. Okay, we said that twice. At its worst, being chaotic means being disorganized, unreliable, irresponsible, and sometimes even destructive. Law and chaos are intentionally separated from good and evil because being lawful or chaotic is basically not inherently good or evil. You could be one or the other, right?
Right.
Good and evil is exactly kind of what it sounds like, right? Creatures that are good are altruistic, generous, peaceful. Good characters often give of themselves to help others. Creatures that are evil tend to be selfish, greedy, sometimes even malicious. While 5th edition doesn't specifically say so, previous editions have stated that it implies hurting, oppressing, and killing others. The exact published definition of evil has changed somewhat over the game's history, but in general, evil creatures are willing to harm others in order to get what they want.
Yeah.
So you've got all of those different, like, pairings, lawful good, neutral good, and you can kind of infer what those things then mean, right? Lawful good, it's very like orderly, just, law following.
I'm gonna give you a visual aid.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Haha. Let me zoom in. Oh, that's so blurry.
That's
You
okay.
can read it.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I said I have never seen it oriented this way. Usually lawful, neutral, and chaotic are on top, and good, neutral, and evil are on the side.
I mean, it's kind of the same.
It is. It's just like
Oh,
I read the first line and I was like
you're
lawful
like, that's
good, and I
weird.
expect to see neutral good, and then I saw lawful neutral, and I went,
You're
huh?
like, what's happening?
So, lawful good is how you would expect a good person to act. So, you follow rules, respect authority, treat others
Mhm.
with kindness. Lawful good has been considered the alignment of idealistic heroes. Paladins were locked into lawful good alignment until the late 3rd edition. However, characters who are lawful good are frequently seen as morally rigid and stubborn. So, the alignment is often derided as lawful stupid. Which I think is funny.
I do
Neutral
too.
good. Creatures who do their best to do what they consider good, but don't cling to rules or stricture so much as lawful good. Neutral good creature might still obey the law or society's expectations most of the time, but they are not rigidly bound to them. Chaotic good, they do what they believe to be right with little regard for the opinions of others. They are guided by their own sense of good and evil rather than the prevailing opinions of society. Lawful neutral, act in accordance to the law or tradition with some code of behavior. While this code can often be external, it can also be self determined. Neutral creatures, like true neutral, do what seems to be like the best option in any given situation. These creatures might lack a strong moral conviction, they might be indecisive, or they might simply be unopinionated. Such creatures typically act based upon their momentary needs and desires rather than based on moral philosophy. Uh, they put in some anecdote here. Perhaps this is the hardest alignment to play. Neutral implies that the character either can't, won't, or hasn't performed enough self reflection to align themselves anywhere else within the alignment. In a party of characters who are usually not also neutral, even if alignment is selected at random, it is difficult to remain neutral while your party is murder hoboing or leading a divine crusade.
Yeah.
Chaotic neutral follows their whims, valuing their own freedom and self interest above other concerns. Such creatures dislike to be ordered to do things, pay no regard for rules or other creatures' expectations, and while they're not always selfish to the point of harming others, they feel no compulsion to help other creatures in need. Many new players fall into the trap of chaotic neutral as a universally permissive alignment. Innumerable adventurers have been made chaotic neutral as an excuse to murder, pillage, and rob their way through life.
Yeah.
Remember, within the confines of the alignment system, harming others for personal benefit is evil. There is nothing wrong with playing an evil character, but let's not lie to ourselves and pretend that Stabby the burglar arsonist is chaotic neutral.
Nah, he's neutral. He doesn't care if the house doesn't burn or if it does.
Right.
Yeah, but he burned the house down.
Right. And then you've got lawful evil. Creatures act within a code of behavior but are otherwise self-centered. They're often tyrants, or would be if they could, seeking to use their code of behavior to advance their own interests. Neutral evil creatures who are self-interested do whatever they can to get away with the things they need to do to advance their own interests. They might follow rules if it serves them, but they do not feel bound to do so. Chaotic evil, motivated by arbitrary and often malicious whims. They are typically greedy and selfish and often violent. Chaotic evil's description has been weird since about the 3rd edition. 5e's description starts with creatures act with arbitrary violence, which sounds a bit harsh, but compared to the 3rd edition's entry, that's pretty gentle. 3rd edition describes such creatures as hot-tempered, vicious, arbitrarily violent, and unpredictable, and goes on to describe other evil stuff like spreading evil and chaos. And then technically there's unaligned. Creatures lack the mental capacity to make philosophical judgments and therefore don't have an alignment. Such creatures include beasts and unintelligent undead. While these creatures may still exhibit alignment-like traits, squirrels diligently collect and bury nuts, dogs might act sympathetically toward a sad or injured humanoid. These behaviors are considered less about moral judgment than they are about conditioning, and unaligned creatures lack the capacity for self-reflection, which would allow them to examine the moral implications of their thoughts and behaviors.
Kind of like a literal infant. Like,
right.
You're really just not the kind of creature or what have you that that can really make those informed decisions and understand the implications of those decisions. A couple of funny examples, this is always fun, is watching people take fandoms and then like slap characters into this grid. So I found a couple.
Great.
Let me zoom in on this one.
Zoom in.
Okay, now I'm gonna probably either look old or really young or uninformed because there's like 2 that I actually am not familiar with. So you've got obviously you've got Superman, very classic, actually like a very classic example of lawful good.
Yeah.
You've got Captain Kirk. No.
Picard?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lawful neutral. The ones that stick out to me are these chaotic little nuggets right here, right? Yeah. Nuggets, as if. So I really do think Jack Sparrow is a great example of chaotic neutral because and like a genuine chaotic neutral, because there are so many times throughout the series where he genuinely is like kind of helping someone because he kind of has an emotional bond to them, but also like keeps himself detached enough that he kind of just lets it go, if that makes sense. Like if something doesn't work out, we see that like all over that franchise. And he continues to make like weird ass decisions, but you never really completely understand what it is that he wants from all of his decisions. So there's that one. I found another one that
good. Oh
God. You know what? Let's just go to the actual search thing. Here's an easy clap. Good old HP.
There we go.
I do not condone J.K. Rowling. Let me just say that. However, these characters, they fit this grid. the first character I saw when I saw this is Gilderoy Lockhart, who's one of my favorite stupidest Harry Potter villains ever. Because he also is the epitome of actually neutral. He dominantly does things for his own benefit, but if it's kind or not kind to someone, as long as it like benefits his like author persona, he kind of just goes with it.
Right. Right.
Is anyone surprised?
No, not at all.
Yeah, no. Is anyone
no,
surprised?
Not at all. Also, Hermione as the lawful stupid is funny to me. I mean, I love her dearly, but like,
yeah, sure. Like, grew up attempting to like coin myself after her. I was so enamored with this series. But I actually really love that we have Harry in this neutral good stance. Like, and I feel like that's accurate.
Yeah,
like, he's not ever this. I think that fits very much into like the chosen one persona, which we've talked about before, which is like, I didn't ask for this.
And a little bit like, I'm willing to break rules to better the environment I'm in.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that.
Is there a Buffy alignment chart?
Let's find it, shall we?
It's like, please. I just. Oh my god, cardboard is lawful stupid. So true.
Let me just make this full screen. He is lawful stupid. Okay, so for anyone who is at home listening, we are taking a look at the D&D 5e alignment chart, but like overlaid on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer cast of characters. So in the good old lawful good slot, we've got
Riley Finn. Yeah. Soldier Boy.
Agent Finn.
Yeah. Which is hilarious. Can you read what it says under lawful good?
I sure can. I know all I need to know. We're doing good here, protecting the public, removing the subterrestrial threat. It's work worth doing.
All right. Thanks, Agent Finn. And then to support your chosen one thing, Buffy being a neutral good. What's it say under hers?
It says, well, it's nice to be able to help someone in a non-slaying capacity.
Sure, yeah. Yeah. And then faith and chaotic good, which also tracks.
Hey, the guy I offed was no Gandhi. All right.
So take that. Jonathan and lawful neutral.
Jonathan says, we're not killers, we're crime lords. Big nerd. Big old nerd.
Is that Anya in true
neutral? It is
neutral?
Anya.
Okay. Yeah, that also tracks. She is very true neutral. She's like, I'm just here.
But I have their money. Who cares what kind of day they have?
Spike in chaotic neutral
says, just because I can't do the damage myself doesn't stop me from aiming a loose cannon your way.
The mayor and lawful evil.
I've made certain deals to get where I am today. This demon requires his tribute. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Neutral evil is Adam.
Adam can get off of this grid even though he fits on it. Let's see if I can even do this is going to be a very poor Adam impersonation. I can't do that. I was created to kill, to extinguish life wherever I find it. And I have accepted that responsibility.
It's like if Jennifer Coolidge was playing Adam.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And then Angelus and chaotic evil.
Yeah. Oh, that's wild that they didn't put like normal angel on here. The last time I tortured somebody, they didn't even have chainsaws.
I have a feeling if Angel was on here, he would be a Buffy. He would be neutral good.
You think so?
Yeah, because he's willing to break rules, but
to help people and to like make situations better, but like within a certain parameter.
I could also see him as like maybe a lawful neutral.
Sure.
Maybe.
Sure, I could see that as well.
Which kind of gets that like he's got rules that he follows, but I don't know, like Angel is more like I'm thinking of like the Angel series. I mean, he's trying to like help people. I don't know. And so I could go.
Let's see. What does the internet say Batman is? Because then we could figure out what Angel is fairly quickly.
I have a feeling he's neutral good if I had to guess, but well,
You think so?
Yeah.
Uh,
DC alignment chart?
chaotic
Chaotic good.
good. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I could agree with that because he'll go past the point of like
Yeah.
acceptable or
Yeah.
past the point of like, okay, you broke a rule. You don't need to
Every
keep
time I
punching
think
that
of
guy.
chaotic, though, I think of like, I'm chaos, like that kind of a
I'm
vibe.
angry.
Yeah. But like Faith isn't necessarily that, but
Yeah.
she is more like, yeah, so I killed a guy, but he wasn't Condi. Like, I don't know. To me, Angel fits more of like I don't know. I'm not sure how to verbalize what I'm thinking. It's okay. But yeah, it's fun to go through these alignment charts and kind of look at them. And
Yeah.
like Soren said, everybody's got some opinions on that. Like even looking at those fandom ones, there's a lot of like, well, I think
Yeah.
Anya should go here, like that kind of
Yeah.
a thing. So alignment is kind of a controversial isn't the right word, but just like a thing that evokes opinion.
There's like a good chunk of conversation and like contention to be had with alignment. And gosh, I think you can apply this to anything in life, but everybody has their own like hyper specific like definition of each of these, even
Right.
if it's laid out in like plain speak for you on the internet. People are like,
Right.
wow.
In this
Actually,
article, right. In this article, it has a section on how to use alignment. And
ooh,
this particular author says the simplest answer is don't. To some degree, alignment is a relic of the 1970s, and its difficulties and inherent philosophical problems can be frustrating. It can feel as though there's little payoff for putting your character's complex belief system into a neat box. It's perfectly fine to play without alignment. Almost nothing in the game cares about creatures' actual alignments, so there's essentially no cost to doing so. But assuming that you're still open to the possibility of using alignment, this person is going to lay out some concepts that might make alignment appealing. So they say alignment is the world's opinion. So alignment is not determined by the character, it's determined by the general views of the world. That doesn't mean that everyone in the world gets a vote. It means that your character's alignment is based on the moral opinions of the world around them. So essentially, they go into some paragraphs here about like world building and world building alignment into your setting. Perhaps the best advice I ever read on alignment is that alignment is descriptive, not prescriptive. This means that alignment describes a creature's behavior, but it does not dictate their behavior.
yeah, I can agree with that. Like it might dictate. Sorry, you said it might describe their behavior. Was that the
It describes their behavior. It does
right?
not
It doesn't
dictate their
dictate
behavior.
it. Yeah, and I had like another way of kind of hearing that was like it might describe their behavior, but it doesn't like dictate their motive necessarily. Like it could give you like a starting point, but it's not the end all be all for how they're gonna.
I mean, if you can find yourself on the alignment chart, like you as a player, I think that alignment can help you find motive for a character that is not the alignment you are.
Yeah, I think
So,
so.
with Tisiphone and Reese, like TJ and I talked about alignment a little bit because they would be willing to do things that TJ and Caitie aren't willing to do. So we talked about them being kind of like a lawful neutral, lawful evil, in that like they'll kill a guy and like
Yeah.
torture him for information.
So have you found that like while when you started playing, do you find that you kind of like use that marker as a way to help you make decisions since it's not who you are as Caitie the person?
I mean, a little bit. We haven't been in a lot of scenarios where I've like Tisiphone does not have the decision making power in this group.
Sure, yeah.
So there has not been many a situation where I can be like, okay, I need to make a choice that is not a choice that Caitie would make. How do I do this?
Yeah.
But it did provide some framework around how she interacted with like Laura and Kiri.
Sure.
and how like in those first moments that we've talked about where like y'all were upset and
Mhm.
like she was not empathetic. She's not
Yeah.
here to be empathetic. And so
Right.
like there was some of that I had to factor in of just like her the way she is designed is not with other people's emotions in mind. And
Sure.
so like when she's confronted by those emotions, it's in the way of getting a job that she was told to get done, you
Yeah.
know.
Yep. I like that, and I think you mentioned this when we were discussing the episode before we started recording, was that lots of people might utilize alignment more for how to get in the headspace
Right.
of your character
Right.
rather than considering it every time you make a decision.
Right. And we've kind of talked about this. I'm not sure if they talk about it in this paragraph. I don't think so. Like, if there is a mechanical use to alignment, it can be that like there is equipment that only works for lawful good characters or something
Yeah.
like that. And one of the things that they do talk about here is that alignment can change. So you could have made
Mm,
a lawful good character that becomes true neutral throughout the campaign because of things that happen to them. Uh,
mhm.
and it reminds me of, I think early in Vox Machina, Vex does some things that changes her alignment and
Hmm.
it adjusts like some of her equipment or something. Like
Okay.
there was a consequence, and Laura and Matt talked about it, I guess. And I've seen some like retrospectives that like read into like maybe Laura not being happy about that because it
Hmm.
wasn't her choice. Like it was the action she did, and then Matt, the DM, saying, okay, those actions are no
Hey, hey.
longer this alignment. So you're moving into this alignment. And because of that, you can't use this or, like whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
So like there's a way to use it in that way. But I think in that retrospective, if I'm remembering right, it was like an argument for why alignment is maybe not worth using in that way,
Sure.
because it takes away some agency from your players
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and
creates resentment.
it kind of gatekeeps. I don't want to say gatekeep. I want to say it kind of like puppy guards, like certain things that you would like to make a decision on, which kind of like is anybody. I guess it makes me think like, is anybody ever truly one of these alignments? No, I don't think so.
Right.
At least in my opinion. Just like humans ourselves, we carry so many multitudes.
Right.
Therefore, so do our characters that
Right.
we make.
Right.
And I think like to talk back to when you were talking about creatures and how like their decisions and stuff like can't really be considered moral. Like I feel like there are different developmental stages where anybody is going to fall into more of one of these camps. Like when we're all teenagers, we're all going to like be more likely to fall into some kind of chaotic like alignment, right? So I think staying in the one forever is not really a possibility anyway.
Sure.
So I agree with you.
We also talked about, I was talking with my dad, hey Michael,
Hey.
about when we were talking about alignment for Tisiphone. And one of the things we talked about, because I was like, I feel weird like saying I'm playing a lawful evil character. Like that feels odd. And like, why would
Sure.
you want to do that? And he was like, the thing about evil characters is that they don't think they're evil.
Yeah.
They have justifications for why they do what they do.
They have a
And
reason. Yeah.
especially with like a lawful evil character, it's she has a code, she has laws that she
Yeah.
follows, and those codes and laws are there for a reason, and so
Mhm.
she's serving a greater purpose to an extent. And since we've played her a little bit, like I've kind of come off of some of that to an extent, but just
Sure.
like if we were to get in a position where we needed to get information from somebody and we were struggling to do it, like she would be it would not be out of her realm of reason to say, like, tie him up to a tree and I'll shove a dagger in his throat and make him talk, like that kind of a thing. She would be chill with that. And I'm still interested for if that ever comes up in our game and how that is handled with everybody. But alignment's something.
I agree. Alignment's something.
As if it hasn't been clear, we don't really use alignment outside of like character creation.
Yeah.
so and that's been true ever since I've started D&D. Like,
same.
We've never really made alignment a focal point.
Yeah.
And Sam has always said, like, if you're interested in that and you want to look at it, you're more than welcome to, but there's no mechanic in our game for how that plays out.
Sure. I'd be really interested to know, to anyone who's listening, watching, if you use alignment like heavily and if it really affects your gameplay and what that looks like. Because Caitie and I are in the same boat. I've only ever used alignment to aid character creation. And then from there, kind of like what Caitie mentioned earlier, was like it really just starts out as like a headspace for like, right, this is kind of where this character sits. And then I kind of just leave it at that.
Right.
So tell us in the comments. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to this? Or should we talk?
The next thing. Yes, we should do that. We're doing a new segment.
We're doing a new segment. We're going to talk about news.
Whoa. What kind of news, Soren?
Very official news. That's an art print. Very official news.
Like local news or?
No, we're going to talk about TTRPG. We're going to talk about news in the TTRPG community.
There we go.
Coming at you live from Chromatic Roses Studio. We are going to be talking about tabletop role-playing game news this week.
So we wanted to do this in the roll with it spot every once in a while, just to like give us another context in which to talk about TTRPGs. So right now we're pulling up some articles that we are finding on on sites that report on news for TTRPGs. And so we're going to talk about a couple articles and talk about our opinions about them. I can almost guarantee you that neither of us have read these articles in their entirety. So you're seeing in real time us finding out about these things.
Real time could be dumbassery coming at you live. So
I've got one.
Buckle up. Go ahead.
This is...
We'll just show the title really quick.
Okay. Reenact Greta Gerwig's Little Women with this coming-of-age tabletop RPG. Written by Alex Meehan. I hope I said that right. On May 21st, 2024. So it's not necessarily cutting-edge news. It's just news in general.
Just an update.
A new tabletop role-playing game, Castles in the Air, will enable players to reenact their favorite coming-of-age stories. Castles in the Air was inspired by the likes of classic coming-of-age period dramas such as Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, which was adapted into a 2019 film directed by Greta Gerwig, starring Saoirse Ronan, Emma Watson, Florence Pugh, Laura Dern, and Timothée Chalamet. And then Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery, which was adapted into a television series in 2017 by Netflix. The upcoming role-playing game will see characters grow up together from children to adults during the historical era known as the Gilded Age, which took place in the USA from the 1870s to the 1890s and saw an increase in industrialization, economic growth, and migration to the US. Castles in the Air is a collaborative storytelling game which players construct narratives that center around the wonders and fears of childhood before tackling the joys and hardships of adulthood. What?
No.
Oh. I was not expecting that reaction. Okay.
That sounds fun. It also...
You literally just went, no. And now you're saying it sounds fun.
That was me, like, sugarcoating it. It sounds fine. It doesn't sound inherently exciting.
Because there's no...
to play.
Punching people?
You know what? Maybe. No, I think... Maybe it's also because I haven't played any TTRPGs that, like, don't have magic. You know, like, or don't have, like, dragons and stuff.
Sure.
And so, like, initially it's like, that just sounds like going to my friend's house and saying, can you play? And we go play Little House on the Prairie, which is, you know what? Maybe kind of fun sounding.
I was going to say that sounds kind of up your alley, so I'm confused.
Well, I take it back.
This does say, as the player characters grow up, they'll begin exploring other feelings and ideas that come with age. Characters in the group might develop a crush on someone or form a heated rivalry with one of the other local children. All the player group will grow up together before eventually reaching adulthood and potentially finding themselves drifting apart as life takes them in different directions, perhaps to only meet once again. Players will be able to create their characters in Castle in the Air by choosing from a variety of character roles inspired by classic archetypes such as the troublesome scamp, the studious bookworm, or spoiled princess. Add on to this a dream, childhood relationships, and a family background and a bosom enemy. The players...
You just giggled because they said the word bosom.
No, I giggled because it's a bosom enemy. Players can even create their favorite characters from the likes of Little Women or Anne of Green Gables.
Okay,
Castles...
I changed my mind. I want to play this game.
Okay.
I want to do this one.
Castles
I'm a fibber.
Castles in the Air was designed and written by Milia Caraway with contributions co-created by the co-founders of the RPG publisher Story Brewers Role Playing, V. Hendro and Haley Gordon, who also co-designed Good Society, a tabletop RPG inspired by the works of Jane Austen. So there you go. That's my first article.
That's cool. That does sound fun. And I take back my initial no.
It sounds like period era Sims.
Yeah, it does. That sounds kind of fun. I think I would really enjoy doing that in like a PC video game format.
Sure, yeah.
Too.
Right.
But it sounds fun to do that with like a gaggle of friends.
Right. I would agree.
Relive girlhood minus getting your period again.
I kind of would love if that was a mechanic. Oh no!
No, you got your period.
Or Oregon Trail, you died of dysentery, but it's you started menstruation.
You're 13. You're 12. You got your period.
And then you have disadvantage on charisma checks for the next like 7 days. Anyway.
Oh my god, what if the game like forced you to so you have disadvantage on charisma, but like you have to like role play that. Like you have to relive that a little bit.
Yikes.
Okay, what did I find? Let's see what I got. Oh, this is not necessarily news. This is just another RPG that I just found, but it's on like a news site for RPGs. But here's the title, and it sounds so stupid and good. This Monty Python-esque comedy RPG lets you improv as a band of incompetent and dangerously powerful wizards.
Oh boy.
And the picture is like a bear wizard that's just...
Oh.
Look at that guy.
There he is.
Look at that guy. Anywho. Okay, let me read a tiny bit of this. The upcoming role-playing game sees any number of players collaborating together to tell a story about a band of chaotic wizards. Similarly to the likes of absurdist, fantastical comedies such as the works of iconic British group Monty Python, alongside the likes of the mighty Bush and What We Do in the Shadows, Hello Wizard, I Have a Problem is all about rapid scenes infused by the strange and unexpected. That's so cool.
All right.
I want to play that. Okay. So the game is called Hello Wizard, I Have a Problem. And it was created by Sam Armstrong, a tabletop RPG designer who's previously made titles such as All Bastard, a fantasy TRPG in which Players take the roles of either a band of bragging heroes or the bastards they defeated, and horror role-playing game slasher. Holy moly. The artwork of the game was created by Evelyn Morrow, who has previously worked on RPGs like Liminal High School. This is really neat. And I want to play it now.
Yeah, that's neat. This might just be us finding new RPGs to play. This segment.
Then we can do whole episodes where we just try out new RPGs and let you know how it was.
My next one is on tabletopgamingnews.com, written by Daniel King Lawrenston on August 28th. Kickstarter campaign announced for Celtic-inspired RPG sourcebook, A Feyseeker's Guide to Avalon. Adderstone Games has announced an upcoming Kickstarter campaign for A Feyseeker's Guide to Avalon, a new sourcebook inspired by Celtic history and mythology set to expand the Legends of Avalon tabletop RPG series. The sourcebook will delve into the Celtic Iron Age, reflecting the historical era of Roman conquests, and will introduce over 200 pages of new lore and game mechanics. These enhancements will include clan origin, Fey pact abilities, detailed descriptions of Celtic clan lands, and the ethereal fairy courts and tarot deck of fairy tricks that is compatible with various gaming systems. The Kickstarter campaign will offer exclusive rewards such as 11 premium Celtic hero and Fey miniatures, available both in resin and STL files for 3D printing. Backers can also expect a multitude of adventure hooks, magical items, and folkloric monsters. This will be the third Kickstarter for the Legends of Avalon series, following the Eddy Award-nominated artwork of the previous campaign book, Against the Fairy Queen. The same creative team will be reunited for this project, promising a consistent quality and thematic continuity. The sourcebook is also designed to be compatible with the 5e system. Early backers of the Kickstarter will have the opportunity to receive resin miniature of the warrior featured on the sourcebook's cover, along with bundle deals including other books from the series. The Legends of Avalon game is known for its Songs of Iron and Stone system, which uses a deck of regular playing cards and focuses on creativity and teamwork. The game narrative allows players to progress from humble beginnings to becoming legends within a mystical, conflict-ridden setting.
This is really neat.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I looked. So like you started reading about it, and then I Googled it to just be like, okay, what else do we got here? This might be outdated, so I'm gonna double check. This, did you say the Kickstarter that you're talking about is like a re-release?
August 28th, it just says Adderstone Games has announced an upcoming Kickstarter campaign for A Feyseeker's Guide to Avalon, a new sourcebook. For the Legends of Avalon series.
Okay, so I'm looking at a webpage that has the, I think the main book, Legends of Avalon. But I was looking at just some of the key features in here. Like they show you a map. They show you some of the core rules and whatnot, which I thought were cool. But there was like a really short piece right here that says cards instead of dice.
Yeah.
Instead of dice, Legends of Avalon uses poker deck.
Yeah.
A poker deck. And I just thought that was really neat. Did you already read that in between?
Yes, I said
update?
Basically, where is it? Oh, Legends of Avalon game is known for its Songs of Iron and Stone system, which uses a deck of regular playing cards and focuses on creativity and teamwork.
I think I read that like right after you were saying some of that, and I was like, "Whoa, isn't that cool?" Yeah. You already said it. But I think that's really neat, and I've never heard of this game before. Have you?
Nope.
This looks really cool, and you know, slap an Irish-Scottish twist onto something, and I immediately want to be involved.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, it's interesting. They said, where was it? These enhancements include clan origin, Fey pact abilities, detailed descriptions of Celtic clan lands, ethereal fairy courts, and a tarot deck of fairy tricks that is compatible with various gaming systems. So it sounds like you can use it with D&D if you wanted.
Yeah, I heard you say that about 5e, and I was like, oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
Okay. I think of all three of the ones that we just read, this one sounds the most interesting.
I would agree.
Let's see. I didn't really have anything else that I found.
That's okay. I mean, we did 3. That's pretty good.
Okay. Let's hop back then.
All right.
All right. So now we're going to do a little bit of a transition, and we're going to talk about another type of alignment that we see in the, I guess you could say, Wizards of the Coast space, because they own both D&D and Magic the Gathering, the card game. And there's a ton of like overlap and overlay of all of those different IPs kind of blending together anyway. But we're going to switch to talking about the color pie, or the Magic the Gathering alignment system, as it were. There are 5 colors that are sequenced throughout Magic the Gathering. And there is white, blue, black, red, and green. And the big thing that we're going to kind of talk about is just kind of how the normal chart we just showed you and how this color wheel kind of are the same but kind of aren't, and like give you an option if this is something that you are more interested in using for alignment, and just kind of talking around it a little bit as well. So the big way that this is different than the alignment grid we just showed you is, I'm going to show you the wheel here. All right, so the big way that this alignment system is different is we're working with a wheel, not a grid. And next I'm going to show you a little bit of, I'm going to talk about each color and get rid of this ad. Talk about each color and what they kind of represent. And maybe you'll start to see where the other parts of the alignment grid from earlier line up with this Magic the Gathering color pie, as they call it. So the color white stands for, or adheres to, peace, law, structure, selflessness, and equality. Blue leans into knowledge, deceit, caution, deliberation, and perfection. Black leans into power, self-interest, death, sacrifice, and uninhibitedness. Red leads into freedom, emotion, action, impulse, and destruction. And green leans into nature, wildlife, connection, spirituality, and tradition. So right off the bat, the difference that I notice is that our first grid of alignment, I don't feel like it talks about it in fewer words, but it doesn't use nearly as many descriptive words across, I guess I want to say, like different areas. Like with green, we have like nature is brought into the forefront of this alignment. Wildlife is brought into it. Let's see. Self-interest definitely sits. I'm looking at some of these other descriptive words. Self-interest and knowledge and peace. Self-interest actually is absolutely in the last alignment chart we were looking at, but there are just some different descriptive words that I think add a little bit different of a flavor that I think could aid your character creation process even more so. Because I could easily look at green, see nature, wildlife, connection, spirituality, tradition, and like I have immediately already started to think of a druid, like to be honest, or a ranger, something like that. So I think that this alignment, this Magic the Gathering alignment, kind of gets me into that headspace faster.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's kind of how I'm thinking. How's that throat feeling?
Fine.
When I see the color black, I definitely get into more of a headspace of like a rogue or that lawful evil or chaotic evil alignment. But it kind of helps drop me in a little sooner. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And something that's kind of fun is I guess this isn't the fun part. Hold on. TJ is super into Magic the Gathering. That's the fun part. And this is not really as much my hobby, but it's something that I'm certainly learning about and interested in since TJ has introduced it to me. And he sent me and a couple other friends an alignment quiz a few days ago or so, just to be like, hey guys, like what alignment do you fit? So we all took the quiz just to kind of see where our alignment sat. And yeah, so I kind of want to talk about a little bit about that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up I'm actually going to pull up your results, Caitie.
Rock on.
Because I have those right away. Yeah, that works. Oh, geez. Okay, so here, this quiz is wild. So it's like, Caitie, you did it most recently. It's like 100 something questions.
Yeah, like 175.
Yeah. Okay. So like 175 questions or whatever. And the quiz is essentially just trying to get you to answer similar questions in the same way.
It's basically just word association. So it's like, do you associate this word with yourself? Yes or no.
Yes.
But there's a spectrum of like, no, I definitely don't. I do a little bit. I do some. I do quite a bit. Or that's definitely 100% me.
Right. And one of the tips TJ gave me when I first took this quiz was he was like, don't think about it too hard. He was like, just answer how you feel in that moment and like call it good. This is not life or death.
Right.
And that certainly helped. So for Caitie, she's a well-balanced girly pop.
I guess, yeah.
She sent this to me and TJ and she was like, what do you mean?
No, see, I sent that to you and then you said, no way. And then I went, I don't know what that means. And then TJ goes, holy shit, Caitie. And I went, what? Like,
what does that mean?
What?
Fair.
Okay.
Okay, fair. So the reason I said no way was because my results are not unsimilar to yours. Sure. I was a fairly balanced, it turned into a fairly balanced little pie chart here. Except my dominant colors were green, red, and white. No, sorry, blue, green, and red. Blue, green, and red were my dominant colors, and then white and black were a little bit different, a little bit smaller. And I'm not surprised at all after reading some of the descriptive words for black that there is like no black in your pie chart whatsoever. Yeah. We're starting to get into a tiny bit of like astrology territory here, but really, what you could do with this chart, I think that could be fun on like a character building standpoint, is you could take this alignment quiz from the perspective as best as possible of the character that you're building. Right. And then you kind of have like a frame of reference or like an idea of where your alignment is sitting.
Right. So if you're listening to the audio version only, white is my most prominent, which is that like, it was like peace forward thing.
Peace, law, structure, selflessness, equality.
Right. And then from there, I believe red is my next one, which is freedom.
Mm-hmm. Freedom, emotion, action, impulse, and destruction.
So I think if I had to guess, emotion is probably what stuck out of that. I answered a lot of like emotional headed questions.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's green at 21%, blue at like 19%, and then black at like 9%. So yeah, it's just another way to think about personality traits and how they affect your character and what they value.
Well, that's it for us this week. Thanks so much for spending time with us today. And thanks to Noah Trumbull for the use of our theme song. There's a link to his Instagram in the episode description. So be sure to follow him and stay up to date on his band and all the music he's making.
Yeah. And if you're enjoying the show, there are some things that we would appreciate it if you do. You could leave us a review on your podcatcher or on Facebook, or sorry, not Facebook, YouTube. Also, you could follow us wherever you get your podcasts so that you can be the first to know when our episodes drop. And then lastly, on our social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the like, so that you can see what we're up to throughout the days.
We also want to hear from you. So if something came up in today's episode that made you think, or you would like to add to the conversation, go ahead and email us at chromaroses@gmail.com. That is CHROMAROSES@gmail.com.
Nice.
All lowercase, and we can't wait to hear from you.
So true. This has been Chromatic Roses. I'm Caitie.
And I'm Soren. Mommy those hobbies.
Okay, love you. Bye.